Hello, I'm Simon.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Wikicast, a podcast where Wikipedia takes us to a random article each week and we talk about what we find. Dan, what are we talking about this week?
This week, Simon, we're talking about Do I Love You, the Ronettes song.
On the week of Valentine's Day.
I know.
Are you kidding
This
me?
is the first article I randomised, so I didn't have to rely on Mormonism, something interesting.
We went
right
the
the way
Church
through.
of Clark-Catholicism.
Indeed, yeah. So we've got a song by the Ronettes, who I have actually heard of before. They're quite famous.
Okay, well, hit me with it. What is this song?
Do I Love You is a song written by Phil Spector. Incidentally, that's a very cool name. He sounds like a friend of Casper. Pete Andreoli and Vinnie Poncia. It was recorded by the American girl group The Ronettes in 1964 and released on their debut album Presenting the Fabulous Ronettes.
Right, so this was like the Supremes, like one of those all-girl American groups from the 50s.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Big
right,
hair,
I'm with you.
matching costumes, Yeah.
The
single peaked at number 34 on the US Billboard Hot 100 on August 1st, 1964, becoming the group's fourth consecutive top 40 hit on the chart and faring slightly better than their previous single, The Best Part of Breaking Up. It also reached number 35 on UK singles charts and stayed on the charts for 4 weeks.
Okay, so a moderately popular song. If this song was a YouTube channel, it would be my channel. Like nothing to write home about, but it did all right.
In a description of the piece, Matthew Greenwald of All Music stated that it is lyrically about preteen romance and devotion, built around, another quote here, a funky and elegant guitar/keyboard riff. The song has been covered by bands The Symbols, Jay and the Americans, and Flamin' Groovies.
I love the way that you said that as if you were presenting songs of the 60s or something on Radio 2.
Thank you.
I was just looking up the Ronettes on Wikipedia. So they have a song in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Be My Baby is in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and Walking in the Rain won a Grammy Award in 1965.
Wowzers trousers.
Oh, that's interesting. They were the only girl group to tour with the Beatles.
Really?
That's quite a fun fact.
That is interesting, yeah.
And they had an album presenting the Fabulous Ronettes featuring Victoria, which was ranked at number 422 on the 500 Greatest Albums of All Time by Rolling Stone magazine.
Wow.
I've got to say, I don't think I've ever heard of them.
I know Be My Baby, which is that one that was on there. So, they had a breakup.
Well, yeah, I mean, I presume they weren't still running today.
But then they came back. They briefly returned in 1972.
They did a Voldemort because they wanted more money, presumably.
Oh my god! Oh, hang on, Ronnie. Oh wait, there's something going on here.
I'm just going to listen to the song whilst you're researching. Dim, 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 dim. Oh, this is so 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know this song. Yeah, not my thing. Wow, it's got 10 million views on YouTube, though. Oh, that reminds me. There's something we've got to talk about in Critics Corner. Sorry, I've just been reminded. Oh, yes. So what have you found? Is there some conspiracy that you've...
Well, there's a couple of lawsuits that have been flying around against Phil Spector, who produced and wrote a lot of the music for the group, over unpaid royalties and for unpaid income he made from licensing of their music. In 2000, Phil Spector was ordered to pay them more than $2.6 million. Spector appealed.
Yeah, I mean, as you would. So this is like the epitome.
Oh my god!
Go on.
He appealed the ruling.
Of course.
Taking the case to the New York State Supreme Court in 2002. In its ruling, the State Court of Appeals said it found the Ronettes' plight sympathetic because they had earned less than £15,000 in royalties.
What? That's ridiculous.
So in the end,
was this from this one song or from overall?
Overall, I think.
What? That's ridiculous.
The judges had reserved a lower court's ruling that they were entitled to the music industry's standard 50% royalty rate on sales and records, tapes and compact discs. The final outcome had Spector paying a judgment in excess of $1.5 million back to them.
Christ, but even so, like, just how on... I suppose 50... When was this? What year?
2002.
So $15,000 is still not very much money at all. Good grief, that's ridiculous. The music industry just is determined to screw people over, I swear. Like, people complain about the entertainment business in general, but...
They released an album 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
And in 2017, Ronnie Spector released a new single, Love Power, under the name Ronnie Spector and the Ronettes, making it the first Ronettes single in decades.
Wow. Well, that's a bit of a gap. I mean, so this is the epitome of like sugary 1950s pop production. Probably 60s actually, isn't it, when it came out? But like this is like what we're going to hear on the radio all this week because it is Valentine's Day. It is the epitome of sugary, overly commercialized romanticism, at least in the UK. What are you doing anything special for Valentine's Day?
I'm going to dinner.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to the Oddfellows, which would be quite nice. Although
that was where Pixel Girl and I had our first date.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's also one of the only I was looking like 3 weeks ago, and everywhere in Exeter has been booked up. So the Oddfellows was the only place I could think of, other than like just wandering into South Street Standard. But we go there so regularly.
I did this with Pixel Girl because I asked her obliquely about 2 months ago. Do you mind, basically, because Valentine's Day this year falls on a Thursday, she's a teacher, so I thought, why don't we do something on Friday, A, to avoid the crowds, and B, it means that we can just, we can have a drink and we don't have to worry about getting up tomorrow.
A drink?
A drink? I hope you wouldn't notice that.
Yeah.
Basically, I booked like 6 weeks out, and then last week she was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going away on the Friday, so can we do something on the Thursday? And I'm like, no. There is nowhere that is open. That is like, it has bookings available.
You need to go for the standard, go to M&S, have a meal at home, have a nice meal at home.
Funny you should mention this, because we did go to M&S, and their meal selection was
Has everything been snaffled?
Well, it was, but also just the selection in the first place wasn't great. And so the M&S meal deal is like, if you're not from the UK, this is like a kind of a famous meal deal for Valentine's Day for cheapskates. It's £20 and you get for 2 people a starter, a main, a dessert, wine, chocolates, and a side. And so that's a really good deal. But we discovered by some Googling that Waitrose do one, and it's a starter, a main, 2 sides, a dessert, and wine. So for the same price, so it's arguably sort of more food, and the selection's just way better. So we went yesterday and picked some stuff out, and so we're gonna have, what was it? I think it's tuna steaks tomorrow. Well, that's giving a recording this the day before Valentine's Day. We're recording, yeah. So yeah, we're having tuna steaks and a risotto and some bubbly and yeah. But the thing is though, like, I feel like in a way that's exactly the same romance content. If neither of you are bothered by the fact that you're doing it at home and you're not showing off in front of people, neither of us really care about that, I think. So you get exactly the same romance out of it. You're spending quality time with somebody, and you can sort of just be in more casual clothing and more relaxed environment. I think in some ways it's better, though. Are you one of these people that like spoiling people from time to time?
Yeah,
I definitely do. I just like, I don't know. So it's nice to know that you're taking care of someone, and nice to know that actually you're making things a little bit special for them. Yeah. But
it's also like it's a kind of luxury, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the way that as every year people complain, Valentine's Day is just commercialized romance. There are ways. I'd argue it's better for your relationship. It is more romantic if you just randomly surprise them with something like that. Just say, "Oh, by the way, we're going out to dinner tonight. I'm going to wear something nice. Do you want to wear something nice? We're going to go to a restaurant." I feel like that is more spontaneous, more romantic, more in tune with the point of Valentine's Day. So that's why I'm justifying that I'm spending £20 on a meal deal for my girlfriend instead of going out to a restaurant. To be fair, I did try, but circumstances conspired against us.
The Valentine's Day is actually quite nicely coincides with the start of half term for me. So I have with Cathedral, so I don't have to sing. I don't have Evensong on Friday. There's a concert instead, and then I still have to sing on Sunday, but that's it. And I'm actually singing Saturday as well because I've got SPS. So really, I'm actually doing more singing despite the fact I shouldn't be. But after Sunday, I'm free for a bit, which I didn't realise. It means that for my actual birthday, because I'm doing like two things. There's Hugo and I, the famous Hugo Wickham of this podcast.
Wickman, yes.
We've made it somewhat of a tradition to do a combined birthday bash thing, and it went down very well last year. So we're doing a similar thing this year, which is on this Saturday. So Sunday morning Eucharist will be hilarious, and then my actual birthday is on the 21st of February.
How old are you? You're 17.
I'll be 17 again. I'm Zac Efron. No, I'll be 22.
God, you're getting old, man. You're going to start finding grey hairs.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, it's just expected.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to start walking with a cane and bloody God knows what. Smoking my pipe far more than I do. Wait, what?
Do you think you're going to go bald, or do you think you're going to go grey? Like, which do you think is going to be the bigger problem?
Well, I don't know. I think in both my grandpas went. One went shockingly silver, and one went candy floss white.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I don't know, to be honest. I could.
Well, which would you presumably you would rather go grey than go bald?
Yeah, probably. I'd rather have hair than not have hair because I'm not losing.
I feel like
anything,
you'd look like I feel like you'd look like a Moria orc.
Thank you.
Just like without hair. I don't know what it is, but
Happy
like
Valentine's Day. No, I probably would. You're probably right.
Well, you know how like some people
have
got weird shaped heads, like Nosferatu. You'd look like Nosferatu, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like,
or the John Green lookalike.
The John Green lookalike.
Yeah, we found him on Twitter.
Did we?
He's got a head like a peanut, because his head kind of goes in where his glasses are. Do you remember this?
Yes, I remember. I'm not going to be able to find that to put in the show notes, so people are going to have to use their imagination.
Sadly not. Just look up a picture of John Green, and you'll see what I mean. His head is shaped like a peanut. It's quite funny.
Yes,
actually, like not a shelled peanut, a peanut with its shell on. No, I don't know.
I think say something about James.
I imagine yes. Oh yeah, I was just saying on Moria Orc, James and I are rewatching the Hobbit films on Netflix, much to our delight.
Oh God, why would you do that to yourself?
It's just because it's quite funny. You're like, why? Well, how did it go so wrong? It's such a fall from grace.
Actually, this isn't even vaguely the right corner for it, but I don't suppose you would have seen on, I think it's Wednesday mornings now, the guys in the Oxcast have set themselves a challenge where they are, for the benefit of the readers at home, Foley is a term for sound which is depicted in a movie which isn't recorded on set. That might be because the set is particularly loud. If they were filming outside, you might be able to hear trains and planes, and you want to set it in Middle-earth, for example.
Other things that rhyme with planes.
Yeah, like stains and...
Grains.
Games and... panes, window panes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you don't want all of those things which rhyme with planes in the background, then you create all the sound artificially in a studio, and then you kind of mix it afterwards. And what the
with
guys
the help
of
a Foley artist.
Yes, which is, I think, one of the most interesting jobs in the world. Like, I would love to be a Foley artist, because you've got to, like, the classic example. I was listening to a podcast, it was 20,000 Hertz, about how they do... the Prairie Home Companion, which is this classic American radio show, and they have one guy who does all their Foley, and when it's mostly improvised, so it's quite a stressful job. And they said to him before all the cast went on, they were like, "Yeah, we think we're going to go to a chiropractor this week." So, like, to do a chiropractor, he got a plastic bottle of water that was half full, wrapped a towel around it, and then twisted it.
Oh, right.
So you get that kind of noise. I've got a can here. Hang on, if I try and do this with a can, it's like, right, I'm just going to adjust your back. Oh, sir, I'm afraid you're paralysed. Anyway, so yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting job. And the Oxcast have set themselves this challenge of removing all of the music, all of the dialogue, and all the sound effects from The Lord of the Rings, and recreating it all from scratch.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
So they on the first stream, which is the only one I've watched, they went out and when they were watching the prologue, they got like 5 seconds in, but they were like doing things like to simulate orcs being stabbed and elves being laid into by orcs. They were like stabbing a watermelon and moving, and it's really weird because you scroll through the stream, and it'll cut to somebody with a knife and a watermelon, and then everyone very seriously looking at this, and then they swish the knife around a bit, like, and but they were also doing the dialogue and the music, so they have like at the bear in mind they've got 10 seconds in or something like that to the Fellowship of the Ring. All they've got is like Tom Hizzle being like, the world has changed, I can feel it in the water, and then you have Terps in the background going and it's brilliant. I cannot wait for them to get like do the because imagine that this is going to take years, but at the end of it they're going to like have a screening of like
I would
Gandalf
absolutely
in his
love
cart
to do
trundling
that.
along. I would too. Maybe we should do it. That's a video we could do on Spongy and Electric.
I've also always wanted, there's those two guys who recreate shot for shot the Disney scenes from Disney.
Oh yeah.
And they do it really well. I've always wanted to give that a go. Trying to do something from. So like, imagine trying to do the I don't know, a scene from Lord of the Rings.
And it's always like a super low budget, so it's like they did a like Star Wars frame scene for scene, and it's like Luke's X-wing is a cardboard box, and there's like there's like a pieces of paper being whipped past them for the trench walls. It's super ingenious. I love it. What do you think is the seeing as we always end up talking about movies, and we've sort of on the subject of Valentine's Day and this song, which is I assume there's nothing interesting left about it, incidentally.
Not really. It was a 7-inch one.
Well, I can empathise.
Yes.
But then, what do you think is the ideal? Because we've had this discussion about Christmas before. What is the ideal Valentine's movie? Like, what would you say is the most romantic movie you could sit down and watch with your partner? Because I'm not really a fan of romances, I've got to say.
See, I really like rom-coms, which comes as a massive
surprise to no one.
Yeah. Bridget Jones' Diary is very good. I like that. Notting Hill's very good. Love Actually is superb, but that's more of a Christmas film. But that's a Christmas
movie, apparently.
Yeah.
What about something like the old absolute classics, like Brief Encounter,
Casablanca,
or Moulin Rouge?
Yeah, Moulin Rouge.
Although obviously,
again,
like,
kind
spoilers,
of a love film that's kind of tinged with sadness.
Because that's how it should be.
Have you read? I forget the name of the author. He's Japanese. Never Let Me Go.
Oh, is it Murakami?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I've never read any of this stuff, and I've been really meaning to.
Never Let Me Go.
On.
Oh no, it's Kazuo Ishiguro.
Oh right, there are a few Japanese novels. Like in my head, they're basically all grouped together as like modern fiction, probably quite difficult to read, but undoubtedly excellent.
As an aside, Banana Yoshimoto is excellent.
His first name is Banana.
I think it's her actually.
Her first name is, but let's not dodge the point here.
Yeah, Banana Yoshimoto is a pen name of a Japanese writer, Mahoko Yoshimoto. Yeah, she's excellent. She's a really, really good author. She wrote a very cool book called Kitchen.
Right, I'm just looking through a couple of... there's like a list of ultimate romantic movies. Do you remember when we went to see Romeo plus Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann one, and it was me, you, and Pixel Girl? And it was this bizarre, like, you third-wheeling on what wasn't really a date, but kind of was a date.
Yeah.
Like, that was strange. That was the outdoor cinema.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that was when didn't either you or Liv spectacularly spill beer or wine because you were trying to lie down and drink it out of a plastic cup, and then Liv said she'd pour it into your mouth and then just poured it all over your face.
That sounds precisely like something we would have done. Or possibly, because that was where they used to have, like, it's on a massive slope and they had the drinks tents at the top. So you go up and then...
roll down.
I feel like going uphill with drinks is easy, but going downhill while carrying something is really hard.
Also in the dark. And we were getting to the end of the film and there were shooting stars going on above where we were watching, remember? It would have been really romantic if you hadn't been there. Yeah, no, sorry.
But the other ones on this list are The Princess Bride, which is
Yeah.
Absolute classic. I do love that film. When Harry Met Sally, which is on my Netflix list, but I still haven't seen.
I haven't seen that.
Dirty Dancing, and what I think was I'd probably go for as the ultimate romantic one would be Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, true.
Which is a delightful film. Although, oh god, I've just remembered how racist it is. Do you remember there's the quote unquote Japanese guy who lives above her?
Yeah.
And it's like, Google a picture of like, I think is it Mickey Rooney? Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah, give that a Google and just remind yourself of what his character. Oh my god!
Wait, what's the name?
Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh my Jesus Christ!
I know. Oh boy. Okay, perhaps that isn't one to watch on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
that is.
I was just looking through a list myself. The Notebook. Titanic, Silver Linings Playbook.
Not Titanic. Oh my god.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now,
still not
I
seen
like that film. Annie Hall, the Woody Allen classic.
Anything Woody Allen though is now just a bit tinged with like him. I don't think I'd be able to. It's in the same way as like watching something with Kevin Spacey, and I know you love American Beauty, but like you always have that knowledge of like bit of a horrible person.
Yeah. Did you see? Oh my god! So on this list, this Google list of best romantic movies, if you scroll along 3 times, Aladdin 2019 appears, which is ridiculous. No, incidentally, I don't know if you've seen the trailer because they've released Will Smith.
Oh, they've unleashed Will Smith, I think is what you mean.
Yeah. It's
awful. Like,
yeah, it looks a bit bad.
Somebody fixed it, and I can't remember who it was. There was somebody on Twitter that basically all you have to do is do kind of what they did with Josh Brolin's face on Thanos and make his jaw really wide, like because it's CG, you can do it very easily, and it just looks immediately like, oh, that's the genie, not oh, that's Will Smith's face on a blue body.
Yeah,
like, oh god, if dear reader, if you haven't seen this, then do yourself a favor and Google Will Smith genie, because it is terrible. That movie, I mean, I hadn't watched the trailer until today, and then I was just astonished at how bad it is. Like, I don't know if this is going to be one of those cases where the studio goes back and reshoots everything, but oh boy, that's bad. Feels bad, man.
That's not very nice.
That's not very nice. Well, shall we move on? Seeing as we're both in a bit of a hurry today, because I've got to record a video. I've got to give blood today. I'm often doing that, which everybody should sign up to giving blood if you're able to. And I'm giving a talk in London at the YouTube space because it's EduCon. It's the first day of EduCon this evening, and I'm meeting a bunch of creators. And then also, I need to edit a video about my thesis. So this is going to be a very busy day. So let's spit spot. Let's move on and hear what your choral piece of the week is, Dan. Please.
Oh God, yeah, choral piece of the week, right. And this will be my piece of the week. Drum roll, please. Right, here we go. So I'm very conscious that I sound very nasal and blocked because I have a bit of a cold.
You sound no more annoying than normal.
Oh, thanks so much. Anyway, my choral piece of the week is by Gesualdo as a surprise. Nice. It's going to be his Tenebrae responsories for Holy Saturday, because I've recently been listening to them and forgotten how brilliant
wonderful.
They are. Yeah. If you can, go on to either CPDL or IMSLP, which are 2 sheet music databases for.
I think they're pretty good.
They're excellent. They've got a wealth of stuff on there, and you can follow along and just have a look at how mind-blowing this guy was. He was so ahead of his time.
Also, very interesting personal life. He murdered his wife and her lover in like the heat of the moment.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
He also just looks like a f***ing vampire, doesn't he?
He does. Some of those portraits from that period, because this is what, mid-17th century.
It's he was born 1566 to 1613.
Okay, so
he died. He died after Shakespeare's second folio.
Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it, I suppose.
Yeah, I never put these 2 together, but actually they would have been, I think,
contemporaneous.
Yeah, William Shakespeare was 1564 to 1616, and Gesualdo was 1566 to 1613.
Wait, so the same year?
Almost. So Shakespeare died at 52, and Gesualdo died... I can't do maths. If he was born in 1566 and died in 1613, Simon, how old would he be?
I wasn't listening, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I think they died basically the same age.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay, so both are way ahead of their time, but
they were born.
Actually...
they were born and died. They were born and died within 2 years of each other.
But Shakespeare was built on and like immediately taken into the fold. Was Gesualdo was definitely a little bit aside. It was definitely a little treated as a bit different. Okay. I will leave a link to a Spotify album.
Yes. As
I always do for Core Piece of the Week.
Is it the Tenebrae album?
YouTube. It will be the Tenebrae album, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. As I always do for Core Piece of the Week, if you are not aware, I've been putting links to either Spotify or YouTube in the description, in the show notes. So do go check it out, because that's one of my favourite pieces as well. It's it's really interesting to read it through with the score if you can read music. And even if you can't, just sit back and you'll know that it's different. You don't need to understand a lot about music. Absolutely. So, Daniel, I have a feast of things that I would like to criticise today, because apparently this corner is now my life. Let me give you an option, right?
Okay.
You can choose between 3 art forms. You can choose between videos, Netflix videos, or books.
Ooh. Books.
So I've read 2 fantastic books. I had a chat with some people at Pan Macmillan, and they sent me over some science books to have a read through and review. And I've discovered 2 new ones, which are just going into my favourite non-fictions, which are very famous, but it was my first time reading them. They are The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks and The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And they are both incredible. They are both. I'm only halfway through The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, but I know I'm going to demolish it in a couple of days. So, have you heard of? Presumably, you've heard of these before, because they are quite famous.
I think their names ring a bell. Certainly,
they are actually quite well. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat was written, I think, in 1985, so it's actually quite old. It's like about the same kind of time as A Brief History of Time.
Right.
So that one is Oliver Sacks, and basically it's a really interesting attempt at trying to bring back an old form of talking about medicine, where it's not just this physiological process happened which caused this physiological response, and so we treated it with this chemical reaction. It was very much looking at the human aspect of specifically neurological problems, and the titular character is in the first chapter was a music professor. He taught at a conservatoire in London, I think, and he could see. He didn't have his mental faculties diminished really in any way, apart from the fact that his visual sense didn't work. And I don't mean he couldn't see, because he could see absolutely fine, but his idea of constructing a visual image was almost completely destroyed. So he did, like Oliver Sacks did the classic neurological sort of nerve test.
We've spoken about this guy before, haven't we?
I don't think we have.
I think we have. Well, didn't it have something to do with an opera?
No, I don't think. No, that was someone different. I don't know who that was.
Because we've definitely spoken about someone who had this kind of thing. His perception, his vision worked, but his perception of visual of shapes and space. I'm
sure
we've spoken about this before. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Readers, if you know what I'm on about, then email in spongyelectric@gmail.com and tell me that we've done this before, or we've done something like this. Anyway, but yes, go on.
But basically, the interesting thing was that he did this test where he sort of ascertained that his vision works fine. You know, he can see stuff, and his nerves all work okay.
Right.
And then he sort of concluded the exam and went, "Oh, all right, thanks very much, doctor." Looked at his wife and then tried to detach her head and put it on his as a hat. And Oliver Sacks was presumably just stood there like, okay, I need to see you at home.
Just slowly, he kind of doesn't take his eyes off, but he's like fumbling for the clipboard on his desk. Like,
well, where is it?
Yeah.
But and then basically he like showed him pictures of National Geographic and said, "What do you see here?" And it was like a picture of a sand dune, and they were like, "Oh, that's a coastline. There are people here, and there are umbrellas." And he wasn't actually pointing at the page; he was pointing off the page. And it was this weird. So and it was basically looking at what what are the aspects of medicine that go beyond the sort of scientific in a way? Like there are aspects of what I've read so far where he talks about the spiritual side to somebody, and if you like, kind of talking about the soul of somebody. And yeah, fascinating. Highly recommend that. And then also The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks is more recent. I think it was 2009 it was published. Basically, Henrietta Lacks was a lady in America. And she was a black lady from... I'm going to have to Google the state because I've actually forgotten where she lived. And it is relevant because this was taking place in the 50s in America. And so... it was racism was very bad. I mean, racism is bad, obviously, but it was particularly prominent. Jesus, racism was particularly prominent then, given that was when the civil rights movement was in full swing. Yes. She was a black woman who developed cervical cancer, who went into hospital and had a section of her cancer removed without her consent. And then subsequently she died from massive radiation poisoning because they'd the treatment for her cervical cancer was to sew capsules full of radium just in her uterus.
Oh my God.
And then be bombarded over and over again. And it was the description of her dying was just horrible. But anyway, she was born in Virginia. It was sort of the East Coast. And basically, her cells were put into culture, and it turned out that hers were the first cells which spontaneously just kept dividing over and over and over again, such that her cells are still alive today. There's an estimate that you could fill a swimming pool with all the cells of hers that have grown. Wow. And in that sense, she is immortal. But this was all done without her consent and without her family's knowledge. And those cells went on to be massively important in treating disease and used in a whole variety of scientific experiments and genuinely contributed a great deal to medical science. But this was done in such a way, basically completely unethically. And her family then went on to sort of have severe financial problems. Some of them went to jail and gradually uncovered this story bit by bit by bit, and because they didn't get a great deal of education, being born where they were and when they were, they didn't really understand that their mum wasn't actually still alive. They weren't actually putting their mother into nuclear bombs, which is one of the tests they did. They didn't actually clone her mother or anything like that. And so the book is this fascinating look at Henrietta Lacks and her family's story, the science that's done, and then also Rebecca Skloot, who was the author, uncovering it, the whole story. I think it's one of the most the best non-fiction books I've ever read. It was so engaging, so human, absolute gold standard for writing non-fiction. So highly, highly recommend it. I'm gushing about it to everybody who I can. Absolutely incredible.
Oh, wow. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what have you been? Before I hit you with, there are two more brief recommendations of things that I've been enjoying. What have you been? Have you been enjoying anything recently?
I've been consuming a great deal more R.S. Thomas, the
Welsh poet, yes,
yeah, who I'm really kind of head over heels for. I think he's excellent.
As is one of our readers who has sent us yet more Leader. I don't know if you saw this, but we have more Leader.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I got really excited when I saw that.
What else have I done? Oh, I watched Mamma Mia 2.
Now, what did you think?
It's all right. It wasn't as good as the first one, in my opinion. I think as sequels go, they had a lot to try and, build up to in terms of just how brilliant the first film was, because I really, really liked the first Mamma Mia. Again, shock horror. It was okay. I think they approached the sequel in a really interesting way in terms of a storytelling kind of perspective. It was fine. I kind of watched it and was like, yeah, all right, that's it, I'm done. Angel Eyes features quite heavily, which is a very, very, very good ABBA song. I think it's probably my favourite.
Is ABBA one of your favourite popular artists, do you think?
Popular artists?
I mean, not classical music is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see. No, I wouldn't say they're my favourite. I like ABBA, but I'm not head over heels for them. But they have a couple of songs where I'm like, it's just a really good song. Yeah, Angel Eyes is on there quite a lot. Julie Walters is a legend. It was fine. I would give it like 3.5 stars out of 5.
Ah, I mean that seems fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I think my mum watched it on the plane. They came back from a holiday, and she was like, basically the same review as you. She was like, it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, as a premise, it seemed quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I've seen the first one, but
It was very cool, as I say, because they flip between time, which is quite cool. So every character in the first one has like a young double. Which is very cool. And then they all come together at the end. It's very cool.
So the other thing I'm going to hit you with one which I know you're going to like if you haven't watched already, and one which is totally out of left field. I can't. Oh boy. Anyway, the one that you're going to like is a Netflix series. I don't think we've talked about it.
Sorry,
that was a chemical spill in Dan's house. You keep going, mate. It's all right.
Sorry, I'm very flebby. Just call me Alexander.
We must drain some of your. We must get the leeches. We must put your humours back in balance. I don't think we talked about it on the show before. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a Netflix series called Ugly Delicious.
I've heard about this.
You'd love it. You'd absolutely love it. It's like a very modern take on a cooking show where each episode is. I think we might have talked about this before. Actually, I can't. But so very briefly, in the same style as like Chef's Table and Salt.
I love Chef's Table. Holy shit.
This is looking at one chef. Dave. Oh, it is David Chan, isn't it? I've just got to.
Yeah, David Chan.
Yeah. Who goes around the world and looks at a particular type of cuisine, and the last one which we watched last night was pasta, like stuffed pasta from Italy versus stuffed Asian pasta, and it's just a really refreshing new way of doing a cooking show. And he's an amazing personality, and I really liked it. I feel like you will too, so that's why I thought I'd bring it up.
Cool, thank you. Just speaking of Netflix, oh my god, my ears have just popped and everything is deafening.
What?
I've got one headphone like in as well, so I can hear kind of my head resonating more than I would, when you put your finger in your ear to like listen to the notes that you sing or something. Everything sounds a little comically loud. There's a new Valentines special of Big Mouth for season 3.
Oh god,
it's a 2-parter. I've watched part 1. I've converted James, my housemate. He absolutely loves it. I showed him a couple of clips of the Shame Wizard. It's just bloody good. I think it's hilarious. I think it's very, very well written. Super. So you should watch that. I
mean, it's just not for me. From what I've seen of it, it's just antithesis of what I find enjoyable.
It's just great. I think it's hilarious.
Different strokes for different folks, which may be about to be exemplified by my final recommendation of this quarter, which is: have you heard, Daniel? Have you heard of the Marble-Olympics?
No. What?
Hang on. Here we go. This is get ready to have your fucking mind blown. This is and it'll be in the show notes, a YouTube channel dedicated to what if the Olympics were done by marbles.
Oh no. What?
And I've just sent you the link to the 2019 qualifiers. So
I've seen these on Facebook.
They're great. But this is like the best production quality. So for the benefit of the readers at home, there are a variety of teams, countries participating in the Marble Olympics. So there's the Limers. I'm a Limer, just for the record. The Rojo Rollers, the Balls of Chaos, the Primary Colours, and they compete in different events, like a race going down a hill, or a group event, like a relay, or a team event, like you all have to try and push a block as far as possible. And also underwater races. There are swimming events. And it is produced, shot, and commentated exactly as if it were the Olympics. And there are stands full of marbles. At one point in the video I sent you, the 2019 qualifiers, there is a riot, and the Primary Colours fans are expelled from the stadium for throwing debris onto the track. It is delightful. I watched it yesterday. Immediately when Pixel Girl got home, I put it on for her, and she was like, I'm not going to watch 16 minutes of this. By the end of it, she was shouting for the Balls of Chaos to come over the line. Totally converted. It is the most harmless, gentle fun, and I can't recommend it enough. I'm getting really quite passionate about f***ing marbles, Dan.
Okay. It's got very, very good production quality.
At one point, you can see a screen above the stands, which is showing like a scoreboard of the points, and then cuts to like a view of the camera, so you can see as if it was like a stage. I love it, Dan. I can't. Please, people, if you are a fan of the Marble Olympics, please email in, especially if you're a Limer. I'm a member of the Limer Nation. Hashtag Lime Time. I love it. I just love it so much. It's a sport I can finally get behind.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
You sound like a non-believer, Dan.
Wow, this is something else.
It really is, right? Are you now hooked in? You can't tear your eyes away.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm gonna have to come back to this.
Yeah, that's saved to the alone time later. Right, should we do Patreon corner?
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds. That's a weird sound coming from either the kitchen or the boiler. I just want to make sure it's not going to explode. Hang on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, it's all fine. It was actually my laptop fans, but my hearing has just got fucked because it's all fucked.
Your sense of spatial perception is just completely wrong.
It's completely gone. I tried to sing Evensong on Monday, or maybe, Monday, and my ears were really, really blocked. I was in really cracking voice because Gordon kept turning to me after every single piece we sang, being like, "Oh yeah. You're doing well, lad." Like I was just like, apparently I was just laser beaming out everything because I had no idea how loud I was.
Oh yeah, and if Gordon says like, "Well done,"
yeah, Gordon kept looking at me, being like, "Oh god." I was like, "Sorry, mate, I can't really hear. Am I being too loud?" He's like, "No, it's fine. Just maybe don't be any louder." And apparently, like some of the chorus scholars corrected me half time, and like as we did, we sing the first verse of Psalm, both can and deck, and then they go to deck, and then they go to can, and then it was just me like beaming. It's like the rest of the side is singing in quite nice harmony, sensitively, and I'm like, rah, 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 rah.
Dan came bounding over.
Yeah. It was quite funny.
So that's my idea of what tenors sound like.
Yeah, basically.
Top lad.
And it's that time again where we find ourselves in Patreon Corner. This is the section of the podcast about midway through where we'd like to say a massive thank you to our Patreon supporters. You can find us at www.patreon.com// the Wikicast.
You're doing it again. You're changing you're meant to be northern. You're meant to have those like really short vowels. Like you're ranting.
Rant. Yeah, I mean, I've always said rant.
Your response to that was so funny when I was editing that episode. I was like, it's not ranting, and you were so indignant. You were like,
yeah.
Cough. Just like, it was really like heartfelt.
It was emotional.
But yes, patreon.com /
the Wikicast. We'd like to say a massive thank you to our patrons, especially our top lads. They keep this podcast alive. They allow us to pay for our hosting, pay for our donation to the Wikimedia Foundation, and a multitude of other things. Something that you might actually be hearing about in a couple of weeks' time, which is very exciting, but we're going to keep it under wraps for now.
There has actually been, before we read out the names of the top lads, there has been a suggestion, which I think we both quite like, to scrap the top lads and instead have two tiers, because the top lads currently donate $5 a month to the cause. And there has been a suggestion that we instead have top cat and top dog tiers, because we haven't been commenting on the Team Cat and Team Dog contest, because it's just been no contest. Apparently dogs are better, which is just wrong. But I imagine that most of the top lads are actually cat supporters, so it would be nice if we could perhaps split it that way, and we could have two top tiers, and then it reintroduces some interest, and it means that you, dear top lads, are not rescinding your vote for the best household pet. So let us know. That you can let us know on the Discord, and you can let us know via email at spongyelectric@gmail.com. But I think we're both in favour of changing it, aren't we?
I think so. I think it'll get a bit of competition back. Give the cats a chance. As we all know, dogs are better. But
I think that the thing is that the cat fans are the ones who are currently actually supporting the podcast. because they're, useful people.
Okay.
And
all right, well, we'll see.
And speaking of which, I would like to thank the very useful Ben McMurtry, Bendant, and Bryce D. Wilkins.
I'd like to thank Choco Cat, Cole Mansfield, and Dan Hanvey.
Davy Schramm Vontabell, Eric Davis, Henry Brewster,
Isabel Ostrovsky, Jay Wright, John Mannion,
Jonathan Trimble, Geordie Eschendahl, Kyle Much,
Lachlan Woods, Lewis Watson, and Maggie.
Marat Verkira Punyawat, Matt Maguire, Oliver Bughart,
Omar Miranda, Fee Gascoigne, and Rory Healy.
And the incredibly useful, all these people are useful. I didn't prefix them all. I don't know why I'm mentioning it now, but they are particularly useful. Simon Torseth, Tapio Kirkinen, and Whitney Fairies.
Marvellous. Thank you ever so much.
You keep us afloat. Now, pass me that bucket, Dan. I need to start bailing us out. Please. Hurry. There's a fucking leak in the boat. Give me the... Top lad. And now we find ourselves in Crisis Corner. We haven't done a crisis for a while because we were just letting a few emails come in. And this one is actually particularly relevant, Dan, because of what we talked about in the last episode about us accruing fans of a particular disposition.
Okay.
So we'll see what I mean. Well, let me just scan this to make sure that we don't have any deaths. Yep. Okay, yep, there's no deaths yet. As we learned last time, possibly we should be reading these emails before we read them out on the podcast. Anyway, this is an email from a reader, which we have anonymized. So this is coming from Anonymous. If you have a crisis that you are currently suffering through, do send us an email at spongyelectrical@gmail.com with Crisis Corner in the subject line, and we will anonymize everything that's sent that way, and we will read it out and give our opinions on it. So, Dan, I would like to read you a crisis, and I'd like to get your opinion on it.
Okay.
From Anonymous. Dear the readership of the Wikicast, and I guess Messrs. Clark and Moore, who are reading this out. My crisis is a strange combination of extreme circumstances and everyday problems. So although I do not expect you all to be able to help with the broad issue, I'm certain that you'll be able to help with the crux of the issue. First, the background. I was born with a genetic defect that, in short, has accelerated the degradation of my bones. Being somewhat essential for life, and rather unreplaceable, I've always distracted myself from the imminent spectre of death by throwing myself at as many long-term tasks as possible to give myself something to keep going for. The only problem is, recently a complication has emerged that's eaten into my prospective lifetime even more. I'm now having a bit of a German word, Torschlusspanik. I think I've not heard that word before. Hang on, I'm just going to Google that because I really like that word.
Good word.
It's a combination of three German words and apparently translates as gate shut panic. In reference to the panic medieval peasants might have experienced as they rushed to make it back inside the city gates before they closed at nightfall. Great word, Torschlusspanik or something like that. You see, I've kept so many projects with larger scopes that none of them are close to completions, and I now fear I will finish none of them. Therein lies the crisis I present to you all. Should I drop some of these projects in order to improve the chances of finishing at least one of these life works before the end, or should I keep them all going and just hope for the best? I've loved all these works, and it will certainly be hard to drop any of them, but the idea of failing to finish any of these is also somewhat saddening. Thank you for your input. Anonymous. 298 plus 100 plus or minus 136 plus or minus 10 months per month expected at time of reading. Wow, that's an impressive number of. I like you are clearly an anonymous of science, given that you're putting error bars on your age. I like that a lot. Okay, Dan. So given a shorter life expectancy and given the possibility of not completing any of these big projects, what do you think Anonymous should do?
That's a really tough one, isn't it? Because I can understand the worry of not wanting to drop any of the things that you're doing because you care about them a lot, but then also knowing that if you don't, the likelihood of finishing any of them is decreased. I think if it were me, I would look at all the things that I've got on my plate and try and assign them some form of hierarchical priority. So look at what you think might be the most important. That might be something that you would be the most proud of, or it might also be something that's just most emotionally important to you. However you decide to order those things, formulate a list and see if you might be easier. By prioritizing them, you might realize, well, actually, no, under whatever circumstance, I know I'd much rather get close to finishing this thing than this other thing, and that other thing then maybe
I would argue deprioritized. I would argue that you can actually do that entirely. And have the best of both worlds, because
it sounds like
Anonymous has said that they really love all these projects and they want to see them all completed, of course. So why not make that list of priorities and take the top, say you've got 5 projects, take the top 3 and you're going to do those. But then tell yourself, well, when these are done, I'm going to move on to the next 2. So I feel like, you can, in a way, extend the use that you're getting out of the projects as motivation. You can extend that by just saying, well, yeah, I'm going to not lay them end to end, but I'm just going to do them, sequentially, such that you do get to see some of them being finished, but then say to yourself, well, yeah, I'm only going to do these first, and then I'm going to move on to the next ones. So I feel like that would be a powerful way of maintaining positivity. Not that either of us really have any experience of, as Anonymous says, we don't really know what it feels like to have that kind of closing gate panic of, I'm not going to get this, I'm not going to be able to do this before I die. But I don't know. Do you think that's a reasonable thing to say, Dan? That you could sort of say, I'm going to do this, then those things?
Absolutely. I think we both clearly agree that formulating some kind of list of priorities is going to help. It's then up to you whether through formulating that list you realise that something it might be more realistic to drop, or maybe your interest in that given thing has decreased. And if not dropped, then just set aside and put in a drawer for a rainy Sunday afternoon. Yeah.
But I definitely feel like you're not saying you shouldn't say to yourself, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to accomplish that in the time. Yeah. In a way, it's like a stretch goal. You're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to do this, and then my stretch goal after that is to do this next project. Not in the anticipation that you will complete it, but with the hope that you will complete it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you finish that, then it's like, well, there's another project which I'd really like to do. Let's start laying the foundations of that midway through the second project. Yeah. So I feel like in a way you should do both. You should get the best of both worlds by trimming down and then putting some of them in reserve and saying, well, I'm going to get to the reserves as soon as I finish these projects. But that's only our opinion. I would love for the readership to get in touch about this. So you can email us as well, spongy@gmail.com, and with response to Crisis Corner, and we'll anonymize responses as well, so you can be as brutal as you like. Maybe don't be brutal, because Anonymous hasn't got a very long left to live, apparently.
Yeah, so what that means, readers, is that you need to email in really quickly.
Yeah. Oh God. No, that's not what we're saying.
For next
what we're
week.
Saying is, yeah.
I'm sure Anonymous would support us in this endeavour.
Anonymous, can you last until next week, please? Because we'd like to get some responses. No, but we will anonymise everything that is sent in response to the crisis. You can give your opinion. Perhaps you find yourself in a similar situation. Perhaps we have several readers who find themselves with limited expected length of life and limited quality of life. I think you are the people who are actually better qualified to answer this question.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Anonymous, for emailing in. We will do another crisis next week, but hopefully we'll also read out some responses to this particular time-dependent crisis.
Indeed. And it's the end of the podcast, so that means we've got correspondence to round us off. We've got an email here from Suhail Mall. It's entitled Code, and the email reads thus: "My bloody code is not working. Not even my rubber ducky can save me. Damn it! Please help. Thank you. Sincerely, Suhail Mall."
Oh wow. I mean, Suhail,
this is your field.
Rubber ducking isn't helping you. Rubber ducking, Dan, if you're confused by that term, is where you keep an object on your desk, typically a rubber duck, and you explain line by line what your code is doing. So you'd be like, right, so duck, this line is reading in this parameter.
Yeah.
That line is multiplying it by the value of pi, which is stored here, and then the next line it's saving to the I've saved it to the wrong.
Yeah.
I've saved it to the wrong bloody file. The idea is that you make obvious by attempting to teach something, what your code is doing. It's a very useful technique. Apparently it's failed Suhail. I would recommend Googling Suhail, given that about 90% of my PhD's coding time was spent Googling how to fix problems. it'll be very rare that you will have a problem that nobody has ever had before in the history of programming. Although sometimes you do get that. Sometimes you'll have like this. Someone will have the exact problem that you've had, and they'll be on a message board from 4 years ago, and nobody replied. And you'll be like, "Tell me your secret. What happened to you, Pussy Destroyer 5? How did you solve the problem?" I've just made up a username. I don't know why I picked that one.
Yeah, made up. Don't know why. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's my cover blown online. But yeah, Google it, man. Google it. Like, that is how I solved almost every single problem. And if that didn't work, I had people in my office who I asked, which might not work for you. You might not be working in an office. But if rubber ducking doesn't work, then take a step back, Google, and then work up the hierarchy of where the problem is being introduced. Is it your function you're using? Is it the library you're using? Debug it properly. Do some Googling. That's my advice. What's your advice for how to fix your code, Dan?
I mean, God, I have no idea. I don't do code. I like the idea of the rubber ducky. That sounds really. I mean, I'm sad it's not working. We have quite an outstanding collection of rubber ducks in our house, which comes at no surprise.
Why does this not surprise me? Given that you're like Flanders and Swan.
We have a Roman Centurion style duck. We have a Julius Caesar duck, and we have a William Shakespeare duck. And they're all marvellous. I'm trying to find a Judas duck to pop just slightly behind Julius Caesar.
Is it going to have like a little bag with silver in it on the side?
I don't know. I'm Suhail, I'm very sorry that it's not working. I think Simon's provided some pretty good advice. I Googled within an inch of your life.
Hopefully.
You've got to let us know if you can get it working, though. Yeah,
this was 2 weeks ago, so hopefully, I really hope you fix the issue. Yes. Next up, we have an email from Jaden Bucher? I'm not quite sure. I presume Bucher.
Boucher.
At any rate,
Boucher.
Hello. I'm going to read it in a French accent because apparently why not? Hello, my name is Jaden. I'm a third year at UC Santa Cruz studying math and econ, but I also love physics. And I'm also in the choir here. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. Why do I sound like Fleur Delacour?
I don't know.
So you saved him. He wasn't even yours to save.
Even though he was not yours to save.
You do a great Fleur impression.
It's also when you have the other great French that Stephen Fry does in the audiobook there, is when you meet Madame not Delacour, Madame Maxime.
Oh, Maxime.
And she kind of walks in, and in her like unctuous voice, she's like, Professeur Dungledore. And it's really very good.
Hagrid, are you saying I am part giantess?
I have never been so insulted in my life.
I have big bones.
I'll give her big bones.
Oh, Hagrid, no!
Hagrid, no, stop. Hagrid, put the gun down.
Dry up, Dursley, you great boom!
And then he turns it back down and shoots himself in the face.
Yeah. Harry Potter YouTube poop. How I've missed you.
So good.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Charles Darwin. I cannot stop listening to it. It's incredible. We are doing a lot of crunchy, weird music this quarter, and I just wanted to share some I think you guys would like. I love the podcast, and I'm on Team Chat.
Team Le Chat. Very nice.
Team Snapchat and Team Snap Chien. Anyway, best Jaden, who almost certainly doesn't sound anything like that. I'm sorry, Jaden. Anyway, the music that they've sent, some crackers here. Meredith Monk's Earth Seen From Above, which is minimalist. I've tried to get into Meredith Monk because it's quite.
But you didn't ask permission
because
first.
The stuff I didn't know. Finger guns, get guns permission first. Because, you know, there's a lot of stuff to do with space, which is obviously interesting to me, and female composer, which is interesting in itself, and you kind of think, well, you know, let's give this a go. I want to like this. Earth Seen From Above, I find a little bit too fillet glass, in that it's a bit too simple structure repeated over and over again. Yeah. But there is another piece here, the Astronaut Anthem, which is new to me. I'll have to listen to that.
I haven't heard of that either.
I'll include links to all of these because Jaden has included links to the Spotify wonderfully. So those will go in the show notes. Along with Eric Whittaker's Nox Arunque, the lesser-known counterpart to Lux Arunque, and Arvo Päert's Magnificat, which is one of my favourite choral pieces. I don't actually think they were published together. I'm pretty sure they were published. His Mag and Nunc were published like separately. But as a pair of canticles, I love them. I love Arvo Päert. He's one of my favourite composers.
Bloody cracky pair of canticles they are.
Oh, cracky pair of great big tracks of canticles.
Look at the canticles on that. Really?
What? The canticles? No! The castle! Sorry,
Marvelous.
That's a Monty Python reference for those of you who don't. I just got that character going, what? The canticles?
How lovely.
What has this podcast become? There's some great music there, Jaden. We've not actually, I don't think, no, we've done the Arvo Päert No, we never did the Magnificat, actually. I've listened to 3 of those a great deal. The astronaut anthem's new to me, but I don't think we've ever performed any of those.
No, we've done the part Nunc, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, a couple of times, which is, that's a chef kiss. Yeah, because I think the thing is, from the sound of things, if you're in the University UC Santa Cruz choir, that implies that it's a concert choir. So you actually get to do music. In a way, you get to do more interesting music because you don't have to worry about fitting into the liturgy.
Apparently they are called the University Concert Choir. I'm on their website. I'm on the uni website.
If you're in a chapel choir or a cathedral choir, you know that you're going to be doing mags and nuncs and masses and psalms and then an anthem. And the anthem is one of the only bits, or an introit is one of the only bits that in a way you have complete artistic expression within reason. So you will have done a greater range of music, whereas you went broad, whereas we went tall. We probably know, I dare say that English choral singers probably know canticles and mass settings better than any other kind of type of singer in the world, because we just do them, you do them every day, like a different setting every day. Whereas, if you're in a concert band, you will get a chance to do arguably more interesting music. I'd love to join a concert choir. I do really need to getting back into singing because I do miss it terribly. And I feel like I'm losing my voice. Like I feel like I'm losing the musicality of it. Whenever I try and sing stuff, I'm like, that's just not quite as good as it was. And I feel like it's just lack of practice, which is quite sad. But fixable.
They have a chamber singer as well.
What does that mean?
Well, the chamber singers, the University Chamber Singers, an advanced choir conducted by some dude, specialises in presenting works for small ensembles from a variety of historical periods.
Oh, so it's a chamber choir.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Wilby, Alessandro Stradella, lots of cantatas. Cool.
Fun. That sounds fun. That'll be challenging. That'll be a good group to be part of.
And we've got a final email here from William Humphreys. Dear Messrs. Clark and Moore, I have the next few poems for you, and at last some conflict and interest is introduced. In other news, I'd read a few poems by R.S. Thomas, and they were quite interesting. I enjoyed his writings greatly. Thanks for the suggestion. That's not even a word, Dan. Although I would note that the fractional representation of my age was a continued fraction, the logical extreme of a mixed fraction.
Yeah, I don't know why I said an expansion before. I definitely meant a continued fraction, which is a rich history of continued fractions. They're weird things.
Right, here you go. The Beautiful Weatherman poems 4 to 6. Gratitude for the book.
Should I put some music under these? What kind of music would be appropriate? Or do you not put music under performance?
I think if you can find some like ambient wind.
Okay, I could do that. That won't be copyrighted. That'll be good.
But like, so imagine I'm Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights. Yeah, right. I'm up on a moor.
Done.
I'm on a moor. Get it? It's because it's my name. I'm on a moor, and I'm wearing like a frock coat. I'm in kind of like period costume, and period costume sounds like a name, doesn't it?
Hello, period costume.
Mr. Costume. No, please call me Period.
Period. So what, are you wandering the moors with a book open?
Yeah.
And you're just like reciting poetry to yourself with the wind whistling past you?
Tugging at my locks. For some reason I'm in chains.
Why I? Sorry.
Okay, here we go. God, I might just put a coat on, actually. This breeze is really picking up. There you go. Right. Gratitude to the book. Was this destined for me, my rustling friend, your singing and crinkling? Was this destined for me? To this weatherman here, that's what you meant, right? Did I understand? To this weatherman here? Did he send it to me? That sound so enchanting. I'd like to know, did he send it to me? No matter what happens, now I have enough. What I sought I have found, no matter what happens. I will seek after work in this quiet place here, for my hands, for my heart. I will seek after work. 5. After work. If I had 1,000 hands to type, I could write everything that I needed to write. I could blow the all... I could...
Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Just I'm making that fool's error of not reading ahead. Right, here we go. I'm going to go again. After work. If I had 1,000 hands to type, I could write everything that I needed to write. I could blow the all assignments. I could copy all these notes. Then the weatherman could sense my desire. Alas, how weary are my fingers. What would I read, though? What would I type? What words could I yet sing forth? Any other could do just as well. I sit among all the others in a quiet moment, and the librarian says to us all, the library soon is shutting. And the sweet weatherman said, good night, everyone. 6. The questioner. I ask not the flowers. I ask not the stars. None of them could tell me what I'd like to know so much. I am not a gardener. The stars are too far off. I'll ask the little books if my heart has deceived me. O little book of my love, why are you so silent today? I only want to know one thing, one word, one way or the other. Yes is one of those words. The other is no. The two words together, my entire world make up. O little book of my love, why have you become so estranged? If you won't say anything else, please, book, does he love me? There we go.
So wait, I'm rubbish at poetry. So are you falling in love with the weatherman?
Are you? That's the thing.
Are you?
Yeah. You don't. I don't know. I think. Oh man, I don't
know. I asked you.
I'm gonna.
Sorry.
No. I understand. I understand the question you're asking. I don't know whether it can be that simple.
I really like this. This feels like next level. This is tier 2 fan fiction now. Where can we go from here? Is someone going to have to direct like a skit or send in an audio drama? Like where can the community go from here?
I mean, well, and this is we've got to ask. Dear readers, where do we go from here? These are really lovely poems. I f***ing love poetry. But I think it's brilliant. I think it's really, really good. Thank you so much, William Humphreys. I love these.
I mean, I'm not a fan of poetry. I don't really understand what's going on, but I know that I like it. Yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time to write these. Well, Dan, what did we learn today?
Well, Simon, today we learnt about Do I Love You, the Ronettes song.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, it's like a circle. We've come right back to where we started.
Do I Love You, and the poem ended with Does He Love Me? Gosh, look at that.
It's a sight. Good God. That's creepy.
Yeah.
And it's all on Valentine's Day. Oh, God, this is weird. So we talked a little bit about the... What was the name of the group? I'm going to be keeping on rising in pitch until I get to Santiago. Please stop me before I get there. I can't remember the name of the group.
The Ronettes.
The Ronettes.
Santiago.
Damn it! We nearly stopped it. We talked about them. We talked about Valentine's Day movies. The excellent Waitrose meal deal, highly recommended, but now too late when this podcast comes out. I ended up ranting about.
Thank you.
There we go.
That's nice.
Yeah, I like getting things wrong sometimes. About books I've been reading and Ugly Delicious on Netflix and the Marble Olympics, which is everybody, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Please,
Mamma Mia.
Please email him.
Mamma Mia 2. Here we go again, or here I go again. Here we all go again. Something like that.
And Crisis Corner went again. Also, we did have the opinions please on Top Cat and Top Dog tiers in the Patreon. Yes. We had the Crisis Corner, and we had some excellent correspondence. I thought it was a very solid. These have been 2 solid episodes, week after week. I think Dan. So. We managed to do 2 in a row.
I think also,
incredible stuff.
As given that we ended it last week with one, I'd like to do another. I'd like to read another R.S. Thomas poem. It's a brief one, but I think it's going to. It should round the episode off nicely. So we have here. The poem is called "An Old Man," which is quite fitting, given that is the collective noun for folk of Exeter Cathedral and ex-University Chapel Choir. Anyway, here we go. This is "An Old Man" by Ronald Stewart Thomas. Looking upon this tree with its quaint pretension of holding the earth, a leveret in its claws, or marking the texture of its living bark, a grey sea, wrinkled by the winds of years, I understand whence this man's body comes, in veins and fibres, the bare boughs of bone, the trellised thicket, where the heart, that robin, greets with a song the seasons of the blood. But where in meadow or mountain shall I match the individual accent of the speech, that is the ear's familiar? To what sun attribute the honeyed warmness of his smile, to which of the deciduous brood is German, the angel peeping from the latticed eye? There you go. An old man.
Old man Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.
That's all for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your podcasting service of choice. You can like us on Facebook, and if you'd like to see our faces, check out our YouTube channel, Spongy and Electric.
Potential code solutions, your own torch-slung panics, and other thoughts on the show can be sent to us at spongyelectric@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Join us again for another tumble down the wiki rabbit hole, and we'll see you next time.